So, Chris, we've got 9 races over 6 days. The first one's Saturday the 1st of June, that's the Superbike race, and then it runs until the Friday, the 7th of June with the senior, and there's a whole lot of stuff in between. What are you looking forward to the most?
Just getting out there, just getting over to the island, get the ferry over next week, and just can't wait. I mean, last year it's just spectacular, wasn't it? The whole performances and the laps and the records, and hoping more this year, really.
Right. Headlines wrote themselves last year.
They did.
And so long as the sun's shining, there's nowhere better than the Isle of Man, I reckon.
No, it's great, and just the whole atmosphere. We've sort of had the Northwest last week, slowly build up to the TT now, and everyone's just absolutely buzzing.
It just comes around so fast.
It does.
All right, let's have a little talk through each of the runners and riders, and then we'll have a look at what happened last year. We'll have a chat through the potential race winners then for this year, and we'll look at all the different classes. So first things first, we ought to start with the fastest bloke.
It's only a wet place to start. Yeah, I think so.
Set the record last year, Mr. Hickman.
Yeah, he's got to be the man to beat. I mean, what a phenomenal year he had last year. It was absolutely fantastic, and that senior race, on the Friday, was that probably the best TT race we've ever had. I think it's got to be up there. And obviously he done the 1:35.452 mile an hour lap on the last lap, and yeah, he's going to be a tough man to beat this year. But then he's on that new BMW, and no one really knows in superbike form how well that's going to adapt to the roads.
So why would he use? I mean, he was obviously so phenomenal on the older bike last year. He won the Superstock race on the Superstock bike, and he won the senior race, breaking the record. Why would he use a brand new bike?
It's a lot of people are saying, oh, he might have the other bikes, old bikes in the vans, and he can jump on them if he needs be. He's not. He's going to the TT with these new BMWs, and I mean, in stock form they look fantastic. At the Northwest 200, he romped the dry Superstock first race, and it's out of the box. It just seems phenomenal, but they're just struggling to just convert that into the into the superbike form, with obviously all the additional plugins that you can have and the advanced ECU and stuff. So they're just struggling to make it click at the minute. But if his stock record's anything to go by, from the Northwest of last week, I think he'll be the man to catch.
But in BSB, he's been Alton Park last time out. He was pretty quick. It was unfortunate to have that penalty at the beginning with the tyre pressure thing, but he was still quick.
I mean, Daz and the team have been working phenomenally hard just to get it ready for the first round. They obviously missed most of the pre-season testing, and they've really been pushed to get the bike. I think even to the first road race meeting at the weekend was at the Northwest. To get it there and to get all the bikes there was just a massive achievement. So I think he'll be going to the TT this year with the new bikes, looking just to bed them in, get them dialed in, because there's new characteristics to the new BMW, isn't it? So he'll be approaching corners maybe differently, and his lines might be slightly different. So he'll just be, bedding in, getting used to a new bike at the TT, and hopefully a solid week's practice, he can be there in the races.
And it's not just the BMWs, of course. He'll be racing in Superstock, Senior, and Superbike. He's also got a bike for the lightweight race.
He has,
this
yes, yeah. He's on the Norton. He's on alongside McGuinness and Davy Todd, and it's a bit unknown really. McGuinness rode the bike at the Northwest 200, but they had a few technical issues with it. It seemed a bit down on power, so that needs a bit of work before they go after the TT. But I mean, Hickey's no slouch on the TT. I'm sure he'll get that working. And
I'd imagine Norton would have been using the Northwest 200 just as a bit of a test.
I think so, yeah. So be eagerly watching that when it's lightweight TT.
Yeah, and also is he riding the Triumph in the Supersport races?
That's it. He's actually got some support from Triumph this year. I don't know to what capacity, but they're actually helping him out. Get that Triumph dialed in for the Supersport races, and he's not been his forte, the super sport races. He's regarded as the big bike man and Superstock and the seniors and superbike races. But yeah, he'll be. I mean, they always go after the Hutchie's record for how many they can get in a week, and if he's on the money and gets the bikes up to where he needs them and requires them to do the laps of TT, then it's not out of the realms of possibility.
So he's doing 6, isn't he? He's doing 6
races.
Doing
6, yes.
Blimey, it was him in a sidecar soon enough, won't we?
Oh yeah, they could achieve the 7 then. Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, and the electric bike as well.
And the electric, yeah.
And we sent reporter Rachel Clegg up to see Hickey at his Louth at the Smiths Racing workshop in Louth. And what was interesting, he was talking about how relaxing it was at the TT compared to BSB. It was interesting, one comment he made was talking about with short circuit racing, you're always trying to outbrake your opponents. So you're later on the brakes, get it turned, get them blocked off, and they get on the power straight away. Whereas at the TT, a lot more of the corners are sweeping. They're faster.
Yeah.
You do your braking early, and you drive through the corners. Something like Balaguer he was talking about, where you could pile into Balaguer much faster, but you'd be compromised on the exit. And when you've got that run up to Grieber afterwards, and you need to carry that speed down. So it was interesting the way he was talking about it. And the quote, of course, was relaxing.
Relaxing TT, yeah. I'm just going for a week's holiday at the TT, relaxing weekend away. It's not going to be like that. So.
All right, and last time out, because the lap record kept changing, didn't it? Last time, and one of the holders for a day or two was Dean Harrison.
Yes.
Silicon Engineering, Kawasaki.
Mm-hmm.
He will be taking the fight to Hickman.
To Hickman, he will be, and he's got Kawasaki backing this year as well. They're I think he's classed as one of the official roads teams, so he's got some more support. He's been doing the Bennett's BSB races and been punching well above his weight there. He said he's always seen himself as sort of a mid-pack rider at the BSB race weekends, and he's achieving that in the first couple of rounds. We've had Silverstone and Alton Park, and he's been really impressive. And there's been a lot of talk after last year's TT about this BSB form and BSB riders going to the TT and being so successful. And it's something that he's obviously trying to bring to his game. And I think it's just that extra edge that he needs this year to really take it to Hickman. He did last year, and he only missed out. He famously talks about that last lap, and he said, I was leading that, throughout the whole senior TT, and he just beat me in that last section coming down the mountain. So Harrison said he's worked on the mountain section in the off season. He's found areas he can improve, and I think Hickman and Harrison actually spoke about the whole last lap scenario recently, and they said Harrison's like, there's certain areas that you're better than me, and Hickman said it might even just be down to bike setup. There's a lot of talk about the mountain section being more prone and sort of better for the guys that race in BSB. But Hickman said he just enjoys that section. Actually, you might have just had the BMW better set up through that section. So it'd be interesting to see the times coming over the mountain this year and see if Harrison has improved. Because he's said publicly he prefers the first few sectors of the TT course where it's more enclosed and some of the more the blind corners. And they're the areas that Hickman doesn't necessarily enjoy as much. So. Doesn't
he talk fast?
Who, Harrison? Yeah.
Does he do everything fast?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but he recently said how he adapts to the TT is that think fast and he sort of reacts slowly. So he said as TT practice week goes on, he said your mind sort of starts adapting to it, and everything then seems really slow. And I think Davy Todd said in an interview recently, he said that his first second flying lap over the mountain, because he was obviously a newcomer last year, he said that he'd coming out of one of the corners, and he said he was trying to what he thought go from like 4th to 5th, but he was already maxed out in 6th gear doing 195 or something, and he said but my brain just couldn't comprehend it, because he said I felt like I wasn't going that fast, but you're doing 195 over the mountain and you're trying to find another gear, which is just for us normal riders, it's just phenomenal to think like that. So
we are mere mortals.
Exactly. But yeah, Harrison,
what's his bike? So he's got a ZX10 RR.
The RR, yes.
It improved? Has he got any updates for this year?
Yeah, it's got the finger follower technology, and there's lots of other sort of intricate, tiny changes they've made to the engine. But the feedback from most of the Kawasaki guys on the roads, Hillier as well, has said it's been a real improvement. So and the Kawasaki was a good bike, the last few years anyway. So to add that extra bit, that to be honest, on the closed road. Sort of like BSB and World Superbikes, it's not really made that much of a difference. It might have to the riders, but actually on the road so far, it seems to have really been benefiting them. So be interesting to see how that goes.
So a bit like with Hickman and the Smiths team, Harrison and the Silicon team, he's been with them for a long time. He knows the setup, he knows the people, he can trust what they're doing. They obviously have a very good relationship. I think that's going to be quite an important dynamic when they're chasing 135 mile lap time.
Yeah, and it'll just be fascinating to see how he gets on this year, because he was so close last year, and everyone talks about how formidable he is out of the blocks and on cold tyres, and through some of the sections last year you could see him sideways through some of these camera shots, and he said actually it looks scarier watching it back than it is actually on the bike. So I reckon he's on to maybe, I reckon he'll get a big bike win this year.
When I say he's only got 2 wins, only is a terrible word to use when you're talking about TT victories, because you need to be incredible just to get one. But he's a guy who you'd expect to have more than just 2 wins. Same as Hickman, actually. He's had 2. So those guys are going to be scrapping. That's kind of the future, isn't it? That's the next generation of fiercely fast TT racers. So part of that, what I would call the top 3, really, Michael Dunlop. You can't forget about him, can you?
No, never count out Michael Dunlop. I mean, what a force he's been around the island the last, 29 TT podiums, 18 TT wins.
Yeah.
It's, been pretty phenomenal. And I mean, the talk about Dunlop at the minute is just with this wrist injury that he had in testing, and he was out at the Northwest 200 riding there, and I mean, from the shots I saw of him on, the coverage, he was still absolutely, fighting that bike so aggressively. So,
when we talk about that bike, he's on the Tyco BMW, right?
The Tyco BMW, and then he's with Carl Cox Motorsport, and his own wheel setup as well on Superstock and Supersport.
Right.
So, he seems relatively happy with the new BMW. It's at the Northwest, he didn't have the same sort of pace as Hickman did on the stock bike, and the superbike, like I say, they're still working out just how to get the most out of that. But by no means writing him off. And the wrist injury on the podium, he obviously had a glove covering his hand. We didn't really know the extent of the injury, but he won't use that as an excuse. TT comes around once a year. It's a massive event for him. All the riders look forward to it, and he'll make sure that. Yeah. Come, race day. He's
a tough guy, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
He's probably the most mentally focused of all the riders. Yeah. He's the one who wants it the most, I would agree.
Well, he said at the press launch, he said, I don't think anybody is going to be prepared to push it as hard as me. And people miss the fact he won 3 races last year. There's a lot of talk about that record being broken, Hickman, Harrison, but actually Dunlop just went, under the radar of it and won them 3 races. And he's not actually... There's also a lot of talk that he's not done, the same sort of lap times as Hickman and Harrison has. But there's a lot of reasons last year why that didn't happen. And in practice there was a few instances where he didn't, go flying through and go for the big lap. And in some of the superbike and the senior, that was with the waved yellows at the bottom of Bagaro with Hillier's incident. There's a lot of reasons why he didn't get the full lap in, but.
So he's the 3rd fastest man ever around the mountain circuit.
Yes, yeah. But his lap time was set with the Hawk BMW. So I think the year prior to last year. So it's been a year since he's been up in that bracket. But by all means, don't count him out. You'd be fooled too.
No, exactly. And on 18 wins, that only puts him 5 behind the great John McGuinness. And this year we see him back racing at the TT, haven't we, for the first time in a couple of years.
And it's just great to see. Great to see him back. He looks happy. He's just great to have around the paddock. He's an icon really of the sport. And I think he said a quote. He said, "I just want to ride my bike at the TT to make everyone proud." And I think, to be honest, last year just seeing him back on the TT course doing the parade lap of the Norton, like 120 miles an hour. I don't think Rebecca was too happy, his wife, about saying, I was doing a parade lap, and then he goes and does a lap that probably could have qualified him for I don't know what race. But great to see him back. How he'll get on, I mean, the Norton's proves it can do a good lap in the hands of Josh Brooks and David Johnston. And
they both finished in the top 10 in both of the races.
Exactly. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. I think probably his best chance of a victory will either be in the lightweight or obviously TT0. He was at the Classic TT towards the end of last year, and on some of the lighter weight bikes, he went off in a senior Classic TT, and no one saw where he went. So he knows his course better than anyone, and I think he said in the past some of the best TT victories I've had are the ones that have won at the slowest pace, and he's implying that you don't necessarily have to be the fastest round there to secure victory. You need reliability, good pit stops. You need to put the laps together over 6 laps, and he's got that in the locker. And I think, don't be surprised when he sets off down Bray Hill with a couple of sectors. He's up on causes a few surprises, shall we say.
And Nord are putting all their eggs in John's basket, aren't they? Because they were looking at a second rider a few months back. They were they ended up having just John, so they're going to focus all their efforts on the race bike for John McGuinness.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's not many people who know their way around that course better than him. And he's going to give it his all. He wants to make sure that he's coming back, not just make up the numbers. He's a guy who wants to take it to the likes of Michael Dunlop, Peter Hickman, and Dean Harrison. So he's not going to be hanging about.
No.
So he's going to be on the Norton in the Superbike in the senior, and he's got the Norton lightweight bike, hasn't he? The Superlight for the lightweight TT. Yeah. And he's also running the Mugen and the TT0.
He's running the Mugen alongside Michael Rutter. They've got some. It's like the Mugen Batham's
bit
bike
of new livery,
this year.
bit of new sponsorship.
Bit of new livery, yeah. And yeah, I mean, them bikes are a class of their own in that field. And Rutter won it last year, but I think John will push him all the way this year. I think it was last time John rode the Mugen round there. He went over
Bluff Bridge.
Yeah, Bluff Bridge, and as he said, his fat ass hit the
off
switch on the back.
Emergency button.
So hopefully they've moved that either back a bit or under. I don't know where they've moved it to now. But I actually learned that during the week the electric bikes have to have a horn on them, because if they're coming to a stop or they're coming to break down, they have to alert the marshals that. So I never knew that. So they've got to have a horn in it. So hopefully we hear John honking his horn over the start and finish line. But Michael Rutter's a great guy as well, and it'd be great to just see them having a tussle. Yeah. At the Northwest, they said that they put them towards the end of the pit lane because it's closer to the toilets and stuff. Now they're getting old, he was saying. So he's making a joke of it. But he said, when he signed the Norton deal, it was a Hollywood sort of contract and, all glitz and glamour. But actually, when he's racing at Northwest, in the rain, and he said, I'm back down to reality now. I know what I need to do. I've got to put in the work, and he has, and I think he'll just be great to see him back at the TT.
Let's touch on those zero bikes for a second, because those bikes, it's now their 10th year, I think, at the TT, and they're getting faster and faster and faster. Mugen seems to be putting a hell of a lot of money into them. Those things are worth an extraordinary amount. A King's ransom, and now they're over the 120 mark, aren't they? 120 miles an hour in that lap. It's not, they don't hang about, do they? I think it'd be fair to say that they've been seen before as a bit of a joke, and the grid numbers are not exactly huge. But even Daley Matheson last year on the Nottingham University bike, he did a 119, 120, something like that. So it's interesting to see the development of the bikes. It's interesting to see the development of the technology, and they keep getting quicker. I mean, that's on a par. That kind of lap time's on a par with the lightweight race.
Yeah,
so,
and I think it's a bit unfair. The stick that the TT0 gets, because as John's famously said, a lot of people give it some stick and they think it's not fast. You sit on the back of it, so you go and do a lap of him doing TT course and TT0. It's not. It's some achievement. The technology that goes into there is phenomenal, and it's the future of it. It's the future of racing at the TT. It's definitely the future of motorcycling, and I think there shouldn't really be any negativity around it. I think people should embrace it and just enjoy it for what it is. It's another race to watch at the TT. I think it's great. I'd rather watch that than wait an hour and a half for the next race to come and start. So yeah, gets a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, agreed. And in 50 years' time, we'll be looking back saying, I remember
back in my day.
Yeah, exactly. All right, moving on. So another local man, again, who knows the circuit better than probably anybody else. And what surprised me when we were looking at the research for this video is that Connor Cummins has not won a TT race.
I know.
All the years he's been racing there.
And what a great reception he'll get if he wins one this year.
He's definitely a fan's favourite.
There'll be a bank holiday. I think there'll be a public holiday for that day, the next day that he takes that. But I think, despite him not obviously getting that win last year, what a performance he put in on that Honda Fireblade. It's he was putting it to the factory guys last year, and Paget's Clive and the Paget's family deserve a lot of credit for putting that bike underneath him to achieve what he did. And I think he's saying this year, he's capable of going even faster on that bike. Clive's been working on the bike throughout the winter. He said it's at the Northwest. He said it's faster and it's more suited to his riding style now. And he's been saying actually on his commute to work in his van, he's only doing 40 miles an hour through some of the sections, but he's been working on his lines and really honing his skills. So what a great reception that'll be if he does manage to step on the top step.
And here's a man who's already registered a 132.6 mile an hour lap. So he knows his way around. He knows his way around quickly. And again, he's one of those guys who we talk about every year, thinking, "Come on, man, come on, you can do it."
And obviously, he'll be leading them all down Bray Hill this year, and he'll just be looking for solid practice week, and then, like you said, he's got the bike dialed in round there. He's not on a new machine. He knows where he's got his settings, so he can just plug in and obviously go around the island and see how he gets on.
Sure, and like we said earlier on about the other guys and the other teams, he knows that Paget's team inside out, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't need to tell you the history and the records, the accolades they've got. I think actually at the Northwest they've got a T-shirt now. Well, they've released a T-shirt with all the names of riders that they've supported over the years, and there's likes of Halloran, Hutchie, but there's riders that they said they've missed off like Brooks and stuff. So absolutely, great to the racing scene that they've supported and nurtured through the up through the ranks. And but I think this year the support they give to Connor is exactly the sort of environment that he likes to thrive in. So.
Connor off at 1. Who's going off at number 2?
Harrison off at number 2.
Harrison 2. So it's 10-second gap, isn't it?
Yeah.
McGuinness 3.
Mm-hmm.
Then?
Hutchie.
So, Mr. Ian Hutchinson made his return after a series of horrible injuries. We were surprised with the signing at Honda, to be honest, weren't we? He didn't enjoy himself last year. I think he was just kind of building himself up fitness-wise, getting used to the bike. What's he going to do this year?
I think he'll surprise a few people. He said at the Northwest, he said that the guy interviewing said, how's this superbike going to get on? He said, well, it's not, I don't know if he was throwing shade at a few people, but he said it's not had someone good and fast on it yet. He said, this year I hope to do that and show its true potential. And like I say, he had such a torrid time last year. He was really just riding around there to get the laps in, get his eye in for this year. And he's setting off at number 4. He's got John ahead of him. He's got some guys breathing down his neck that he'll want to keep away from. So, expect him to maybe surprise a few people. And obviously last year we were so lucky with the weather. That we had great practice, long practice sessions. And this year we might have the same conditions. But if we don't, and if some of the practice sessions are called off and we don't get the laps in that we're intending to, that Ian Hutchinson knows his way around that course, and some of that knowledge, some of that experience could be fundamental come race day if we've not had the practice that we have in previous years.
16 wins under his belt.
16 wins, 27 podiums.
And he's a 133 man already, isn't he? He'll be looking to make improvements on that.
Yeah. And the Fireblades improved, in small sort of sections, but it's an improvement on last year. And in BSB form, it's a good bike. It's a really good bike, and I think probably his best chance to win potentially Supersport and the big of the Superbike races. I think he'll do really well.
All right, moving on. James Hillier, the man who is fairly synonymous with his Kawasaki. He's been with that same team for a long, long time.
Yes.
Enjoyed himself, didn't he, at the Northwest 200 recently? Yeah,
and so good to see. I mean, I think he's just a fan favourite, Hillier. I really like him. I think he's a great guy, and to see him get that Northwest 200 victory, and by some margin as well. He romped away in that Superstock race, and he pushed Erwin as well in the Superbike race on a stock bike. So for really good performance. And Glenn actually said in the winners' enclosure, he said that man next to me, Hillier, he's going to take a big victory at the TT this year, and I think he's right. I think he can. I think he can do it. He there's a lot of talk about he doesn't seem to be able to push as hard as some of the other guys or take the risks that the other guys do at the TT. But he's spoken out and said, if the bike's right, if the conditions are right, I'm more than happy to do that. So expect to see some good results from him this year. I think he's going to the TT and some of the best form he's ever gone to a TT with. The team obviously been with him many a year, so they know what he needs from a bike. And I mean, last year in the senior TT, that instantly had a big arrow. That was just scary. So the fact that he's
if anyone's not seen that video, look it up, because it's ridiculous how he stays on.
I know, incredible to see that, and just the fact that he got through that, and obviously he didn't finish the senior, but he had a pretty strong week at the TT last year, and a race week at the TT, and I think if the conditions are right, and that, like I was saying earlier, that Kawasaki is an improvement on previous years, and it could just be the perfect mix for him this year.
Another man with 132 mile an hour lap under his belt. Yeah,
no slouch around there, is he?
No, exactly. All right, let's move on. There's a young'un by the name of Davy Todd.
Yes, Davy Todd, and just some background on this chap. He actually, his first ever time at the TT was 2017, so he'd never been to the TT before. He come over, I think for work purposes. He was working for like an injury lawyer firm, and he said, I can go to the TT, I'll sell you loads of policies. Went out there, sold nothing, partied all week, but fell in love with the TT. Honestly, he missed his flight back, so he had to jump in the back of a friend's motorhome after senior TT day just to get home. But yeah, for a guy that's, like I say, only been racing, well, last year was his full roads debut.
Right.
His first time at the TT, and his fastest lap was a 1:28.379, so formidable, you know.
It's not too far away from Hickey's outright.
Yeah, well,
newcomer lap
Hickey
record.
after the senior, actually, after all his commotion podium celebrations, he saw Davy and he said, did you beat me? Did you? Because he was expecting him to do it.
Really?
He was really close in practice, and Davy was like, no, I didn't do it. And it actually came out later in the press that the reason he didn't break it, because he said he could have gone faster in the senior, was that after the first pit stop, he went out of pit lane and his visor was up, and when he tried to shut it, it wouldn't shut down. So he'd done 2 laps of the TT course with his visor up, and you can imagine how painful that must have been on the eyes. He said, I was trying to keep behind the bubble as much as I could just to keep my eyes from watering. He said, but I went in on the next pit stop and I said, I need to change my helmet, I need to change it because it's locked. And he said the guys have still to this day can't work out how it happened. He said it just wouldn't lock down. So that just shows that he could have gone faster in the senior, and to watch out for him this year, because he's on the Penn's BMW.
Yep.
He's on the older BMW, so he's not on the new one, but I think that may play into his
Well, it's a formidable bike, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the lap record holding machine.
Exactly, and while the other guys are probably chasing their tail a bit, maybe with the new BMWs, he's probably going to go out and, you know, set some solid times. And let's not forget, it's his second year at the TT. I think he goes there with, you know, he said he's not going there with big expectations, but I think a lot of people are talking about for some big wins. And one interesting thing I'll say as well is that his debut year last year, a lot of people talk about the laps you need to do and how you learn the circuit. He actually learned the circuit playing PlayStation. So he asked for his brother's PlayStation, and he said, you know, I'm doing a TT, I need to get some laps in. And he said he'd never played games consoles before, but he played the game so religiously that he actually ended up being the second fastest in the world on the PlayStation game.
Goodness.
So if you see him at the Craig anyway, asking him for a game of TT on the
Hustling.
PlayStation, don't play him, because he said, I never used to play games consoles before, but he said he just used to play that and then watch on boards, and it's testament to why he put in such a, you know, solid debut year at the TT.
It's testament to the quality of the game, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, that as well. Yeah, that's a great game.
Gosh, imagine that, learning a circuit by computer. And he's also racing so he's one of the 3 that are racing for Norton on that super light bike in the Super Twins class.
That's right. He's got a bit of a mixed bag in terms of teams. He's obviously in the Pens for with the BMW for Superbike and Super Stock, and then he's racing Paget's in the Super Sport. And they know how to put great bikes together, particularly in that class. So he got his first international road win with them at the weekend at the Northwest in that class. So that'll be a solid performance. Well, I think he'll put a solid performance in on that. And then the lightweight, depending on how that Norton gets on, he could be up there as well.
He's definitely a man to watch. Okay, well, let's move on to a man who I think raced in the first ever Isle of Man TT, Michael Rutter.
Yes. 17 TT podiums, 6 TT wins, passed a lap of 131.7 miles an hour. Actually, we done a lap of him at the TT media launch, and in the intro to the video, I said about his lap, and I checked with him. I said, "It is a 131.7, isn't it?" And he goes, "Oh, I don't know. It's mad to me. If I'd done a lap like that, I'd have it tattooed on my arm." But he's like, "Oh, I don't know. He's so laid back. You know, he's almost got a bit of Bruce Anstey about him. He's so relaxed and so chilled with it all." And in the van doing the lap, he was actually talking through some of the corners, and he said, "This section is really fast." He said, "This scares me a bit. This section," and another section he was talking about the bumps and the all the inclines and stuff, and really fascinating to get his insight. But he's on the RC 213 this year. And at the Northwest, he said it was actually getting confused by the bumps on, you know, the road conditions. It's most GP bikes, so it's used to going around nice flat GP circuits, and the conditions and the terrain was actually confusing the GP bike. So I think they ironed out a few of the problems there, had it on the dyno, and have sorted that ready for the TT. But hearing him talk about just riding that bike around the island, he said it's just going to sound phenomenal and just an absolute experience to do it.
He's a man who can ride anything fast, isn't it? And it's well worth putting a few quid on him having a podium or 2.
Yeah, I think the big bike wins, you know, maybe might be out of his reach, but particularly the TT0, some of the lightweight stuff. He was on he's got a KMR. Is it KMR Kawasaki? So he rode that at the Northwest, and that'd be interesting to see how he gets on in that. You know, he's no fool. He's 25th year at the TTs. He knows his way around there, and if the conditions are right, and he shows some great form on the classic TT in recent years on the smaller machines. So yeah, expect to see some good results.
Let's pick out a couple of more riders then. Lee Johnston, he didn't
Yes.
have a particularly enjoyable time on the Honda last time out.
No, it's a bit of an understatement, really. I don't think sort of he signed the deal with all the glitz and glamour of being, you know, a Honda athlete and with one of the, you know, best teams in the paddock. But he's now gone back to a privateer team, and he just looks to be thriving. He just seems to like that environment. He chooses who works with him, the bikes he rides, and this year he's been racing the British Supersport Championship, and that form seems to have already shown, you know, at the Northwest he took the Supersport victory.
Sure.
So I think, yeah, particularly Supersport this year, he's one to watch. But his TT podiums in the past have been on Superstock machines. You know, he's such a lightweight. You know, he's
tiny.
There's nothing to him. So if the other guys, like I said, are chasing the tails with other, you know, setups with new bikes, and he's got a tested bike that he's been around there before, and yeah, he could.
What's he riding?
He's going at BMW S1000 RR. So, but the previous model, and he's got the R6, which I think's the bike to be on. In Supersport or 600 form, it's proven the winning package. So I expect to see him definitely on the podium and that this year.
All right, let's just pick out a few more riders
Yes,
then.
yeah.
Let's have a quick blast through some other contenders for potentially a podium in the big classes or even the Supersport or
So
lightweight.
David Johnson, he's Hutchie's teammate this year.
Yes, on the Fireblade.
On the Fireblade, and it's a really good opportunity for him. He's proven his worth in previous years on lesser bikes, so he's hoping just for a solid year. He had a bit of an off at the Northwest 200, but nothing broken, just ego slightly bruised, and he'll be going to TT expecting some good results. Gary Johnson, he also had an off at Alton BSB. I think Rutter, there was an incident ahead, Rutter pulled out the way, Gary hit the bike and got his leg caught in the rear tyre, and he's got some really bad burns on the back of his leg. So he was walking wounded at the Northwest, but he's one of the toughest guys around. I don't think he's going to...
He's a Lincolnshire lad with quite a bit of grit, hasn't he?
Exactly,
He's won 2 TTs before.
He's won 2 TTs, yeah. And
he's with Lee Hardy. They put together a great
they
bike.
put together a fast bike, don't they? So, yeah, like I say, if the injuries aren't causing him too much hassle and, you know, the bikes are set up to his liking, then he'll go well. And
Who else have you got on your list?
Phil Crow. He pushed the factory guys last year for a privateer. He's done some phenomenal stuff and just missed out on that 130 mile an hour lap, and I think we'll get that this year. I think he'll.
So he's a sort of a top 10 guy on a big bike.
Yeah, and I mean he's
got the power to wrestle those things around.
Of course, yeah, exactly. And I think he's been steadily just building over the last few years, and I think this year could be his real breakthrough year. Along with sort of Jamie Coward, he's a privateer guy as well, and he's actually got some podiums at the Classic TT, so he knows his way around the island. And he actually sat out the last race day at the Northwest because sort of sketchy conditions, and he's so focused this year on doing well at the TT that he just sat out. But on the lightweight bike at the Northwest, he was really fast. He qualified on pole and only just missed out on the first race of the weekend from Stefano Benetti.
So he'll be racing. Stefano Benetti, speaking of him, he'll be on the pattern presumably.
On the pattern, yeah.
Super Twins.
Yeah, and he taking the form from the Northwest. That bike's fast. Yeah, and he's
because he won the race, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. But just seeing the sort of the punch of the corners it had, Jamie just couldn't keep with it and was having to really override his Kawasaki through some of the slower sort of sections. So obviously the TT's not as sort of, you know, straightened as the Northwest, and there's a lot more intricate sections, so won't play as much big of a part. So yeah, I think Jamie Coward could do well. And then the other guy, Derek McGee, who's started the Irish road racing season, you know, fantastically, really dominated that, taken some great victories, got on the podium at the Northwest, and he actually took his first Isle of Man podium last time out of the Bennett's lightweight TT, so finished second in that. And
was it the Classic TT?
No, it was in the
last year.
Yeah, last year at the TT, and expect him to do some good stuff this year. I think he's being talked up for some good results, but I think he just needs to get a solid practice week under his belt and see where the week takes him.
Sure. No, it's such a demanding circuit, it's such a demanding race. When you're talking about those big, the Superbike and the senior races, 6 laps around that place, which is it's almost unbelievable the way in which it harasses the chassis and the suspension, the tyres, and then the person itself as well. The concentration that's required for 6 laps around this, it's stunning. All right, let's just have a quick run through of what happened in 2018 then in terms of who won what. Dunlop won 3 races, didn't he, last year?
Yep, he won the opening Superbike race, he won Supersport race 1, and he also won the lightweight, the Bennett's lightweight.
Oh, okay. Hickman obviously had 2, so he won the senior and Superstock.
Yeah, that's right. Dean Harrison won the second Supersport race, and Michael Rutter
on the 0.
TT0.
Okay, let's move on to sidecars. So the Birchall brothers are really the men to beat there, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, what year they had last year?
Dominant.
Absolutely dominant. But what nice guys they are. I caught up with them at the TT launch. They're on the same ferry as us over to that, and just the time they had to just come down, had a cup of tea and a coffee with us, and they're just love for the islands. Just just fantastic. They say that they'll go off and race the GPs like they do, but come an hour after the race, they're already talking about the TT, and such a professional outfit. They put together a great bike for the TT, and I think there's a lot of talk about a 120 mile an hour lap, and I think it's achievable. Ben talks about the fact that he's still learning parts of the circuit, and Tom as well. He says that the sort of the connection they have, because a lot of people think they don't really know the true impact the passenger has in the sidecar, and Tom talks about he needs to be with Ben. If Ben wants to go for that 220, he needs to be 120. Just needs to just think exactly the same lines as he does. And they done Autumn BSB last time out, and some of the pictures that our photographer got of them going through these sections, they were just sideways everywhere, but all looked relatively in control. And they'll be certainly the guys to beat.
I was interested in a stat I heard recently about so there are 600cc engines, and they're powering a unit that is effectively as heavy as a Honda Goldwing.
Yeah. So going down Bray Hill on a Goldwing, they
screaming Goldwing.
What are we doing that? So other guys to watch, we've got John Holden. He's actually had 19 TT podiums around there, 2 TT wins. Lee Kane's his passenger, and he's a Manxman, so expect some big cheers when they go past. We've got Alan Founds with passenger Jake Lothar. Lewis Blackstock with passenger Patrick Rosny. They were actually the best newcomers in 2016. And they've had sort of 4th and 5th finishes since then, so they're knocking on the door of the podium. Conrad Harrison, I think he's got a relatively famous son. Not passenger with him this year. Passenger Andy Winkle, they've had 10 TT podiums. Dave Molyneux and passenger Harry Payne. He's a youngster actually. We spoke to him at the TT launch. He's really enthusiastic, and Dave knows his way around the island. He's the most successful TT driver actually in TT history. I think 17 wins, 30 podiums. And then Maria Costello, she's got new passenger this year, Julie Canepa. And she's actually going to be the first woman to race both sidecar and solar machinery at the Isle of Man TT. So it's quite an achievement if she does that, yeah.
All right, predictions time.
Putting me on the spot now.
Yes, let's have the 2 big bikes. Let's go with senior and Superbike races first of all. Okay. Who's your money on?
I'm going to go for Superbike race, opening Superbike race, Dean Harrison. Senior, I'm going to go for Michael Dunlop.
Interesting.
What about you?
So the 2 Supersport races first.
Okay, 2 Supersport races. I reckon Lee Johnston.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to go for Dean Harrison.
Interesting. Superstock.
Superstock, Hickman. Can't see past Hickman. The bike and him are a great combination in that class. I think no one's going to get near him.
What about the lightweight?
Lightweight. I reckon Derek McGee.
Yeah.
I reckon he finished second last year. It's a real rate of nutrition, that race. It's a real, if you finish, you're likely to get somewhere near the podium. So I think he could take a win there.
All right. TT0.
Oh, that's tough.
It's got to be one of the Mugans, right?
Yeah, I'll go McGuinness, you go Rutter.
Right.
It's fairy tale to see McGuinness take any sort of victory around there, but that in particular I think would be good to see.
And sidecars. It's obvious.
Birchall's technical issues and breakdowns could be the only thing that scupper them, and they got a new bike for this year, so teething problems with that could also go into the mix. But
right,
go on then. What about you?
Well,
Superbike opening race.
I will go with Michael Dunlop.
Okay, and senior.
Senior, Hickman.
Super Sports, you think similar to me?
Super Sport, I will say a Dean Harrison double.
Oh. And then we'll go for TT0, you reckon? Rutter.
Oh, Michael Rutter.
And lightweight?
I think that I tell you who I'm going to tell. Who's going to win that? Stefano Bonetti.
Yeah, he could.
He'll be right on the crest of a wave.
But we haven't got likes of Hillier. We've bigged up Hillier before then.
True. He's a big shout actually for the lightweight.
Yeah, but for any race victory as well. So I don't know. I'm just eager to see the racing now. We've talked about it for the last, God knows, 20 or 30
So you're
years.
riding out to the TT. You're going to be there for the full 2 weeks, practice week and race week.
Yeah, that's it. It's the first time I've taken a bike over. Usually flying. So
what are you on?
Honda CBR 650R.
Nice.
So I'm working out at the minute how to pack 2 weeks worth of pants into my rucksack. So,
you need 1 week's worth.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So no, really looking forward to it. I'm gonna sort of do some videoing, chat to some guys on the ferry over, and obviously on social media we'll be covering all the action and reaction from the paddock, so to speak. What about you? You're riding over?
Yeah, so I'm going out just for 2 days on during practice week on a KTM 790 adventure, catching the ferry from Liverpool, and then again from Liverpool in race week on a BMW S1000RR, the new 2019 model.
Nice.
So really looking forward to having a bike out there. And talking to the relevant people. We've got a cameraman out with us. We're going to do lots of video footage while we're out there, some interviews and some behind the scenes stuff. So make sure you tune in after the TT for all that kind of coverage. So we've got Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're going to do a lot of coverage on there. And if you are a Bennett's customer, there's an event going on, isn't there? Yeah,
there's loads going on for Bennett's customers. If you come to the stand when you're at the TT, come over and see us. We've got loads going on. We've got grandstand tickets available, free programs, laps of the course, and we're doing a really great barbecue on one of the evenings.
Tuesday, isn't it? Tuesday,
yes.
I think it's during the daytime.
Yeah, I think it's between 1 and 4.
Right.
If you come down, get signed up, we've got free food, drinks, we've got live band, and we've got meet and greets with the riders and something really special planned from Shoei. So
excellent news.
Yeah, keep a lookout for that.
Fantastic. All right. And there's a ton of other stuff on BikeSocial at the moment. We've had exclusive interviews with Dean Harrison, Peter Hickman, John McGuinness. We've got a lot of interesting content coming through as well, with things like the history of the TT scoreboard and the scouts that run it. There's TV guides, radio guides. This is scheduled. So get over to BikeSocial, have a look at that. Enjoy the TT, Mr. Newble.
Yeah, you too.
I'm gonna. Cheers.